Hello, bienvenido, and how else can I say that? Welcome, welcome to the latest edition of Cruising with the Coaches, conversation with Julie and Lee. Julie, how are you on this lovely July day? Yeah,
Good, how
you-
are you?
I'm all over the place apparently because now I'm trying to speak other languages, but we'll leave it at that. So it's it is what it is, right? I should have signed it. That would have been better. I should have used sign language and signed welcome or hello, but then you could just do this, right? So,
Right,
yeah,
right. A little easier.
yeah, is what it is. Um, Anything on your mind before we start to show today? Just, I'm just curious, right? Just letting our viewers and listeners get to know inside and see what happens, inside here and see what happens. Yeah,
Yeah, not
anything.
my mind. You don't want inside my
Fair. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. You're like, "Yeah, no, stay at a distance." Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
good, we good. How about you?
I always got something, but,
Yes, you do.
you know what? But no, I'll share this. I gotta
Okay.
say, I was on assignment in Dallas, right? And for the World Cup and all this.
Yes.
Um, it was mentally taxing while I was handling duties back here at the office as well. Go figure that. But I gotta say, man, today was I got to spend some time with the intern who'd been there for almost 2 months without me,
Uh-huh.
and he's a pretty awesome kid.
Yeah.
So, I should say young man, not kid. That's not fair. He's 22, 23, something like that. Um, and I'll give my team credit too, right? I'll
Okay.
give my team credit because in our check-ins, he also said he thinks he's learned something from everyone on the team. And I was like, "Are you sure? Everyone?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've learned something I was like, "Okay, so I'll take the surprise. Good intern. My team showed up when they needed to, so there's that. Wins all
Right.
around. So there you go. See? We're
See?
starting on a
That's good.
positive note. Yes. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
All right. Since I mentioned my intern and he is of the male persuasion,
Mhm.
but he is not part of what we're going to talk about today. He's not in danger of that.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and add put our slides up here. Right. This is kind of talking to the mothers, but I think this is also important for fathers too, right? But we're talking about keeping your sons away from the manosphere. So let's kind of jump into what the manosphere is. All right. The manosphere is a sprawling, decentralized online subculture of male influencers, podcasters, and content creators who promote hypermasculinity, self improvement, and traditional gender roles. While some channels offer benign lifestyle advice, the extreme edges often feature deep seated misogyny, anti Semitism, and it's a lucrative business model built on exploiting the insecurities of young, disenfranchised men. So let me come back out on camera here because that's a lot to unpack, right? Um, I want to be even more specific. I think the manosphere is specifically targeting young white men because
Mhm.
I think that is who is feeling disenfranchised by the empowerment of a lot of minority groups. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, any thoughts that you would like to share on the manosphere or what I just read about the manosphere so far? Just the general idea of it.
I mean, I would say that's probably accurate as far as the target audience, but not also also to the young men being raised by single mothers too.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Which is key to what we're talking about today. But I want to add a little bit more. Let's take a little bit deeper dive into the core ideology, right? So the manosphere at its fringes This community is built on resentment toward modern feminism, with
Hmm.
influencers arguing that men's societal power has been unfairly eroded. The extremist corners of the manosphere often promote near medieval perspectives. That's dangerous. Um, Such as believing women should not vote, should stay home to serve men, and should be highly restricted in their behavior. Common tenets emphasize not just traditionalism, but also the aggressive display of wealth, physical fitness, and dominance. So I'm going to come back out on camera here and let you take the floor first. About now, mind you, I used our research team to come up with some.
I always love how you make it sound like we have a whole department who takes care of this.
Well, I think our research team needs credit, right? I mean, I want to give them their fair shot, right? Um, yeah, that's Google, y'all. That's Google. Just so we're clear. Um, so yeah, you can research this for yourself, right? Just from some quick searches about what the manosphere is, but it is a dangerous thing, especially for single moms who, with their sons that are pre-teen or like teen years, right? That's
Mhm.
kind of this target audience. And I know I specifically was talking about white boys at that age, because you cannot be, well, no, I won't say you cannot be. Let's not work in absolutes, but it's hard to target minority groups when you're minority.
Right.
So if you're a young man of color, you are part of these minority groups that the manosphere is kind of preaching against, you know? Um, so sorry that I added so much, but again, the floor is yours for um, any thoughts about the extreme parts of this manosphere.
As far as what? What are
Well, like, how do you? Well, and your son is not the young age that they kind of target, but as a mom with a son,
Mhm.
right? Or did you experience anything with the manosphere, right? And I know it wouldn't have been called the manosphere back then,
Yeah, we just call
but
it bullshit.
facts on facts, right?
I mean, yeah, because I mean, there's definitely times where he would come home and say some random stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
where did that come from? Because like, you didn't get
yeah,
that from here, you know? And so it would just be the oddest things that would come out of his mouth. And I'm just kind of like, and he did. He went to a predominantly white school.
sure,
So, you
sure,
know, obviously the things that the kids around him that would, he would say. And I'm
right.
just kind of like, and then, you're raised in a house with two sisters and a mom, and you're just kind of going, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Like, and
Without trying to knock his teeth out, right?
exactly. And you're just kind of like, where
Yeah,
did you get that? And
yeah,
well, so and so said, and blah, blah, blah said, and you're just kind of going, "Eh, eh, and you think that's correct?
right,
Well,
right.
and it's just kind of like, wow. And you're just, I, you think you're raising your child correctly, but you're not, you can't traffic everything that they're hearing or what their peers are saying and what have you.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, yeah.
all you can do is say, where did you hear that?
And then try to like dispel the myths that they're spewing from,
Well,
or
yeah, and just say, where did you hear that?
yeah, yeah.
And do you honestly believe that? And
Hmm.
if so, explain to me why. And then,
Ooh, ooh,
and
good.
that was
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
would get stuck. And it was just like, well, he couldn't explain why. And
Right.
then it was just like, well, let me explain to you why, as a woman, I
Hmm.
don't think that's appropriate or why
Mhm,
it
mhm.
falls short of this, that, or whatever.
Right.
And then it would be like, of course there's pushback because he can't be wrong. You
Well, and as we've talked on this show, right? It's hard for anyone to be wrong. No one
Right,
wants to
right.
be wrong because then that means you have to look inside and be like, "Oh, maybe I was wrong." And if I'm wrong, then I was wrong last week and the week before, and no
Correct.
one wants to do that. They
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so there
got
was
you.
always pushback. There was never an immediate like, "Oh, I'm so wrong. I'm so," it was just and
Yeah,
it would take a minute before there
sure.
would be any kind of immediate, "You're right. That doesn't sound right and I shouldn't have said this or whatever, blah 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 blah." But I
Right,
mean,
right, right, right.
I was very shocked with a lot of things that would
But
just randomly come out of his mouth.
and I asked like what was your experience too? Again, I'm a little older than your son, just a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit. And knowing that I was also, I wasn't raised by a single mom, but at the same time, and I've shared this, like talking to people, even though I was in a two-parent home, my dad was for the most part absent with emotional intelligence, right?
Okay.
And so in that respect, being raised, it felt like being raised by a single parent. Like he
I
was
get that.
there,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but not there, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to think that she raised fairly emotionally intelligent son who who didn't fall into the manosphere. And I get that. There were other things that happened as I got older. Um, and it's something that we'll get into with the article as well. But it took more than just her or even my dad, right? There were
Mhm.
other men at other times, and I even searched that out because I know at one point I was very um militant about not being like my dad, right?
Gotcha.
So I searched other role models purposely that
Okay.
I thought were different than him. But that's along the same lines. You need role models, right?
Correct.
Period. You
Correct.
need role models. There were also not. There were also some not so good role models in my family. I mean, we all
Right.
had them. So
Right.
I was seeking something different, right? Something that I was like, wait a minute, that's a good dude. That's a good dude. And also, at whatever point I searched them out, they poured into me,
Right.
right? Whether it
Right.
was basketball or school, that kind of thing, and they were positive influences.
Right.
So that's another way to combat this, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
Because the pieces, a parent could very well become the epitome of what you don't want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you realize that, you're just kinda like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Okay, like, by the grace of God, I will not become that," like
Huh, I was hell bent on not being that.
exactly. Like,
Yeah,
there's bits and
yeah,
pieces, but, you're like
exactly.
you'll realize, like, "Okay, there's bits and pieces that I wanna take with me, but there are bits
Mhm.
and pieces that I absolutely do not want to." And,
Yep,
you can choose that for sure, for
yep.
sure.
Or even at that early of an age, I wasn't sure what I was
Yeah,
choosing, but
yeah.
I knew what I was not choosing,
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah. I got another slide that, it kinda dives into the manosphere a little bit more, so let me add that here. Um, so when you're talking about this manosphere, this subculture heavily targets young teenage boys and disenfranchised men who may be struggling with identity or experiencing feelings of loneliness. The critics and psychologists emphasize that social media algorithms frequently amplify these toxic, polarizing messages to younger users, normalizing highly damaging attitudes toward women and minority groups. So, this documentarian, Louis Theroux, he discusses his jarring experiences filming these creators and the role of social media algorithms. His Well, let me come back out on camera here real quick. His documentary is on Netflix, and it's called Into the Manosphere or something like that.
Okay.
So the basis of our show today and this article that is from Psychology Today came from a mother who saw Manosphere and was horrified, and I rightfully so. Right? If we're talking about attitudes that go back to medieval times, like, are you really going to behead somebody? Is
Right.
I mean, or and we've talked about roles here on the show as well, but um, it's almost again trying to strip women and minority groups of any rights, strip them of humanity, if you will, and blaming them for what you don't have, which is not true, by the way.
Correct.
So let me jump into the article here. So this mother, the article is from Psychology Today, and it's by Stephen Ing, who is a marriage and family therapist. But a mother had asked him that he spoke to had asked him about her 9-year-old son and if he was familiar with the manosphere. And she, like many other parents, watched the documentary by Louis Theroux, Inside the Manosphere. And like I said, she was mortified about that. This mother, she was alarmed and she wanted to know exactly how she could guide her son. So the next thing that we are going to show is what was it, Stephen Ing, what he said to her, right? Um, so the first thing he said was active listening. So engage in conversation with your son and practice active listening. When we are afraid, it's easy to slip into lecturing and scolding. This is understandable, and we fear bad outcomes for our sons. But these boys do not benefit from mockery or criticism, and shaming them is also unhelpful. What does help is an attitude of genuine care. So I'm gonna come back out on camera here, and I think that's kind of what you were talking about, right?
Hmm.
When your son would come home and start talking that crazy talk, and
I mean, what sounded crazy to me, but
to you, correct.
I didn't
Right.
say it
No,
was
you didn't say
crazy.
it was crazy. You said it sounded crazy to you, and he was if he didn't, talk to you, he might have not been here to talk about it. So,
Exactly.
um, but I think that's what you did. Instead of, you know, criticizing him and saying, "That sounds like some bullshit, and if you say it again, I'm whooping the hell out," right? I mean,
Right.
not that
And
you
I
didn't
just,
want
it
to.
it was easier to say to him, "So
Right,
explain to me
right,
how that makes sense to you." Like,
right,
and I didn't immediately say, "Well, that's some bullshit. What are you talking?" Like, that's not how I responded. I
right,
mean, although
right.
that's how it computed in my head initially, but
I bet. I bet. And that was the point. Like it opened the dialogue, right?
right,
It opened up conversation.
right,
And at the end of the day, even though we are focused on this manosphere and teenage boys right now,
right.
that's that is a better response when you are trying to level set something. Even though inside you're like, if he says the wrong thing one more time, I'm gonna kick him out the house. Or
But, like, I don't know how I would respond, though, with a 9-year-old. Like, that was me
yeah,
and a 14-year-old. Like, I
right,
can't imagine
right.
a 9-year-old. Like, that would be I
Because you're like, wait a minute, that's way too soon for you to be talking.
exactly.
It,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'd be
I
like,
agree.
"Ooh, aren't you supposed to be playing kickball? What are we doing?"
Or with GI Joes or whatever,
Yeah, like that
or doing whatever. Aren't you
yeah,
painting? I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nine
yeah,
years old, I would be kind of shocked by that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got another slide here that can help engage in active listening. So when you are engaging in these ways, and this is exactly what you were saying too when talking to your son, you can say, "Oh, tell me more about that," right? Or to clarify what your son is saying, you can also say, "If I understand you, you're saying that X, Y, Z, right? Blank." Or you can also say something like, or sometimes it's best to just listen, right? You can actively listen by nodding your head and letting them know that you hear them, but just letting them get it out. All of this is about letting your son know that you are listening. He'll see that you're taking time and taking him seriously and truly caring about him. So I'm gonna come back out on camera. Um, I think that's key, right?
Oh yeah.
It's is active listening. And that's what I know my mom did, whether she agreed with me or not. She actively listened. But then at the end of the day, it was, well, okay, I may not agree with what you're saying, but respecting what I was actually thinking, you
Right.
know? And then through conversation, it was like, oh, that was kind of extreme. Although again, like I said, I've never been part of the manosphere. If I
Yeah.
was, it was accidental or unintentional. It was
Right.
never on purpose, and never blaming other minority groups or women for what was taken away from me or what I didn't have. Like that just is not the truth, you know?
And sometimes I would even clarify it for him, like if there was a case scenario that he was talking about when
Mm,
he was talking,
hmm.
like whatever we were talking about, um, I would change the situation for him and put a little bit more meaning to it and put it more like, okay, so let me understand this.
Right.
So if it was me, or if it was your sister, or if it was your grandmother, blah blah, and put more meaningful people into the positions,
Yep.
then it would, well, no, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, but why? Why is it different? Because now you know the people, like,
Exactly.
and then it would be like, oh, yeah, okay,
Then it
now
starts to click a little bit.
mhm.
Hmm.
Again, he wouldn't change his mind fully, and he would still give pushback. But it would then make like, okay, let me think about this a little bit more, kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because you brought it back to you brought it back to something that mattered to him,
right,
right?
right. Because if you
And
put some emotions behind it, then it's a whole
yep,
different, like, wait a minute, if it's
you have to
people
think
I
about it in a different
know.
way. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, and it's kind of what goes on. I've said this about what happens in this country, right? Whether it's about take X group that's being, any of the isms, right? The racism, sexism, ageism, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter to people until it's on their doorstep,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
so that's what you did with your son. Like you put it on his doorstep. What if it was me?
Exactly.
What if it was your sister, your grandmother? Like that's, and it makes
Exactly.
you then be like, oh yeah, that's not right. That's not,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he would go to war for you guys if someone said or did
Exactly.
those
Yeah, because
things.
we had a whole big conversation about Roe versus Wade and the whole abortion,
Oh
like, and
wow,
it
yes,
was just kind of like, okay, wait, so hold up. And then I was like, and then he was like, okay, so, because
yeah,
like I said, I gave him a whole scenario and gave him a whole person. And then it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
oh,
And
okay, I could see how that would be a different situation. I was like,
right,
okay, so now take it away, and now it's not your sister, and then it's not, but it's someone else's sister. And then it was
exactly.
like, oh,
it, you yeah, replace that. And just to be clear for our audience, with this manosphere that we're talking about, I think it's always existed, right?
yeah, oh, facts.
I mean, because let's face it, we're still in the residuals of a patriarchal society, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's always kind of existed, but with this specific business model that is lucrative, um think like the Joe Rogan podcast. He's not completely the manosphere, but he said some stuff that's been out there, right?
Hmm.
But he appeals to that because he's also this hyper masculine type dude, right?
Right.
Think the late Charlie Kirk. There was a lot of manosphere pull that he
Hmm.
was out there, that he was putting out there.
Hmm.
Another example I can think of is the owner of Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy, right? Says a lot of those things. Although I think his ideal is money, though.
Right.
because as much bullshit as he's put out there, what he says, all of a sudden he started investing in women's sports. Hmm. So yeah, I find that ironic that
Right.
you
Right.
will say that, but oh, they can make you money. Oh,
Mhm.
how's that work for
Mhm.
you?
Yeah.
Um, so why don't we take a break here because we do have a few more things from the article that will help in the conversations and helping mothers and parents steer their boys away from being part of this manosphere. So hang tight, stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the latest edition of Cruising with the Coaches, a conversation with Julian Lee. In that first segment, hopefully you got a chance to digest that a little bit. But we were talking about the manosphere, and there was this article from Psychology Today, and a mom asked a marriage and family therapist how to guide her son away from the manosphere. He's 9 years old, and the manosphere basically I don't want to say recruits young boys, right? But it's giving these young men who feel disenfranchised, who feel lonely, who feel maybe they're struggling with the identity where they fit in the world. It's giving them this space, but it's very extreme. It can be racist, it can be misogynistic, it can be anti-Semitic, um, all of the things that you don't want from a person, let alone young men who are supposed to, be part of society. So that's what we tackled in the first segment. Um, any thoughts before we move on to um, the some other ideas on how to talk to your sons about this?
I mean, just it's not just boys. I mean, yes, I mean everyone's recruiting everything for anything for kids. I mean, let's
Yes.
just face
Yeah. Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's just the way the world is. I mean, I'm glad we're talking about this particular subject, but
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the way social media works, dear Lord, I mean, the way they recruit
It
for
like you
anything,
said, for
it's
anything, if it can grab your attention, they're gonna try to. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just keeping an eye on whatever it is your children are paying attention to. So just pay attention, honestly.
Well, and let's make it. I want to make this point before we jump in back to the slides. Their brains are not fully formed yet.
Right. Right.
So that makes it even worse, because I used to do this with YouTube. So again, I know we're focused on the manosphere and how it affects young boys. I had to really pay attention to YouTube and how it was affecting my daughter,
Mhm.
because I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Where'd you hear that? Where'd you see that? Where did you get that idea?" And very similar, having an open conversation about it, not criticizing, but saying, "Well, be careful of what you watch. Be
Mhm.
careful of what you believe. There are a lot of things that are done to make you think a certain way."
Right.
So, yeah, being open to that.
Right. I
But
mean,
oh, go
and
ahead.
my daughter is 24 right now,
Mhm.
and my oldest is 26. And so we're at that phase where, okay, now you're at that phase where your friends are either maturing or
Hopefully.
they're gonna be in that pause.
Right,
So, like,
right,
they're
right.
both like, I feel like I'm having the same conversation over and over, and it's like they're just not getting it, and blah 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 blah. Blah. And I'm like, this is that phase where you're
Gotta
gonna
pay
have those
attention to it.
friends where you're gonna leave
Yep,
behind or you're gonna move forward. I mean, and
absolutely.
unfortunately, that's just what that phase is. So
Yeah, yeah, and
it's
it's not
hard,
wrong. It's not wrong. Sometimes you outgrow people,
right? It's
That's
hard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, back to, our manosphere here. Well, another idea to help, mothers, guiding their sons away from the manosphere is bringing in the troops. Frankly, and this is again from Stephen Ing, the marriage and family, therapist. Frankly, good parenting alone is rarely enough. Assembling a roster of good men for your son is mission critical. You are not in this alone, and I clearly have some misspellings here on the slides, but that you're not alone. That's what this is. Um, Dads, stepdads, grandpas, uncles, teachers, coaches, neighbors, and peers at school or work can all play a positive role, however small, in helping boys emerge from isolation and grow into fine young men. Moms, you are not alone, nor should you be alone in this. Let me come back out on camera here. That's again kind of what you were talking about, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's a support system, right?
Right.
While you might say the very same thing that a coach or a teacher said, they might hear it differently from that coach, teacher, uncle, whatever. I have found myself as one of the troops, one of these support troops, not just because I'm a coach, but they're talking about more like a sports coach, I think. Um, but I have found that with the young women in my family, whether it's cousins or younger family members, trying to be that positive male role model because I've seen some of the other male role models in their lives, and um, they fall short. I'll just say it that way.
Right.
They fall short, and so like it's like filling in the gaps, right?
Right.
Wanting them to see what unconditional love looks like, right? It's not tied to anything.
Right.
Because I think that's crucial as they get older, and then they get to see, oh, that's kind of what I might look for, whether it's a romantic partner or friends, whatever you're doing, it's not tied to what can you do for me, right?
Right.
Or this, you owe me something because I did this for you.
Right.
No, that's not.
It's just about showing up.
Absolutely
Yeah.
showing up. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Another way to help mothers help sons away from this manosphere. It's not an event. It's not a one-time thing. It's an actual campaign. So it's not a perfectly executed conversation. Again, something you talked about, where the kid says, "Oh, gee, mom, thanks. Now I completely understand. What was I thinking?" Um, but we need to keep the conversations going and offer respectful feedback. It's the long game in which moms slowly make the case that men and women are in this together. So we have to make the case that a feminine worldview combined with his masculine worldview is a win for everybody. Moms are women too. I think sometimes they forget
Facts.
that.
We are human.
Breaking the ice on this big concept starts with a willingness to calmly, not scolding, and authentically express skepticism about the toxic influencers' ideas, especially those that promote the hatred of women. This feedback could look like, I'm thinking that wouldn't work for me. Or it could look like, I'm pretty sure most women wouldn't buy into that kind of relationship. Or what if your sister's boyfriend behaved that way and said those things? So our boys benefit when they are pulled out of the closed feedback loop of isolation and the manosphere's messaging. When they see that we see them, that we are listening, and that we care, we have a chance to offer them another option, one that improves their odds of future happiness and relationship success rather than a life of loneliness, anger, and disappointment. If you embark on this campaign with patience and keep your eye on the long game, in doing so, your sons will have a chance to think critically about the manosphere's ideas, and their confidence and self esteem will grow as they feel increasingly sure of their place in the world among good men. So let me come back out on camera here. Um, any thoughts that you'd like to share that we haven't covered, or just how you want to tie that in a bow with supporting young boys and our sons away from the manosphere?
I mean, I think that's key. It's just like I was saying before. Once you tie it to an emotion or a person, and like
Mm,
you put life behind it, I
yeah.
think then they're kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Like, yeah, you're right. That doesn't make sense. Or like, explain that to me. And it's like, one, like,
Mhm.
you can put an idea in anybody's head, but like
Sure.
when you're
Sure.
asking them to relay the idea, like, explain that to me, explain it more to me. And then they're kind of
Why do
like,
you like that?
yeah, yeah,
Why is that cool? Well, and I think that's the thing, right? If let's play this out for a quick second, right?
yeah.
There is, really toxic behavior of a boyfriend or husband um putting the woman in her place, right? Like, some physical abuse that seems to be okay. And not even like not extreme, but just, a slap or a hit. It's not okay. It's not even cool at all. But there's that behavior, and then over talking her when she's all these types of toxic behaviors, right?
Hmm.
But let's say that the boy, gosh, I'm cringing even saying it, right? Finds it cool or thinks that, oh, okay, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Challenge that. Be like, what don't you see wrong with it? Why don't you see that as wrong? Why
Hmm.
is that cool? Why is that okay to you? And like you
Hmm.
said, make them kind of put more behind it than just absorbing it, right? Like it's okay. Like you can be an innocent bystander behind that, but now you're absorbing some of that energy as well, right? And it's
Right.
we gotta normalize that emotional intelligence is actually okay, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the I love the way it put it, the feminine view and that boy's masculine worldview can coexist, right?
Oh,
Like
facts.
that makes it a win for everybody. So,
Right. Or
yeah.
like, I mean, I won't use as harsh of an example as what you just used, but like
Sorry.
I'm thinking of it more as like where, like a young man who believes his woman must serve him kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, where I I get that. That's a lovely idea, but not all women feel that way. So if you're with a woman who feels like, yes, she would like to serve you and she would like to get your plate for you and what have you, that is
Right.
one thing.
Right.
But if you are demanding it and you are saying that this is the way it must be, then that's a whole different conversation. And that's an
Right.
ask. That's not a demand, you know? And it's just kind of like, is that an ask or a wish that you would like? Okay. Is that a thing that she would like to do for you if you request it? Okay, then this is a conversation that you can have that could be a win-win, but
Right.
it's not
Right.
something
Right.
that you need to ask like a dick and
Or
be such a jerk about. You know what I mean?
or an
So
expectation, right? It
exactly.
it
And then
cannot be the expectation. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it can be an expectation. There's nothing wrong with it being an expectation. You can desire that and you can explain that, and it's up to her if that's what she wants to do.
There
But
you go.
you can't
Yeah.
say, I demand this, and this is what you're going to do. You see what I'm
Regardless
saying?
of how you feel, right?
Exactly.
It's the choice behind it. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a matter of, you know, if you're, it, it's,
There's
there's
many levels
just,
to it.
there's
Well,
so many different levels to it. But like, if again, if you're in
yeah.
a world where they're being taught that this is the way you're going to ask for it, or you're not
Right.
going to ask for it, you're going
This
to
is where you're
demand it.
demanding it.
You're
Right.
demanding it,
Right.
you know,
Right.
then, that
Yeah.
that's a sad place where we would be headed to, and
Yep.
it's unfortunate because it's
Yeah.
just it's
It
not
it
it's not
doesn't
going to work.
serve no, it's yeah, it doesn't serve the the purpose of uh humanity, right? It really
Correct.
doesn't. It begins to dehumanize
Right.
women, but
Right.
then okay, you've dehumanized women. Who's next? Right?
Right.
What community do you want to dehumanize next?
Right.
And that's the danger of that spiral when they're stuck in that feedback loop, you
Right.
know?
It
So
doesn't have to be a demeaning situation in any way, shape, or
not at
form.
all. Not at
So
all. Yeah. No, I yeah, I cannot be part of the manosphere. Sorry. That's just not
I'm
it's not
still
gonna work.
stunned about
Yeah.
the 9-year-old. Like and the fact that she said her 9-year-old saw it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait, I mean, are they going to school saying, "Hey, I watched this on Netflix"? Like, who's Netflixing that? Like, like what?
Well, and I've watched some of it, to be
Okay.
honest. Um, Thoreau, Louis Thoreau is a documentarian. This, he felt like this was his greatest piece, if you will, but it's because he was shocked as a white man. He was shocked by some of the extreme thoughts and the extreme behavior. But I guess here's the bad part behind this manosphere model. I'm not so sure that any of the content creators or influencers actually believe what they're saying. I'm not sure they do. Some might, right? Some might actually believe it.
No, but because there's a market for it, they're
Yes,
going to preach it. I mean,
that's
and
yes,
period. So
yes.
if I can get my
The,
disciples behind it and are going to buy into it, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I mean, and
and then if
that's
I
the
can make
sad part
money
behind it.
off of it,
Of
yeah. So
course.
it's so exploitative. I can't say that word, but
I know what you
that's
mean.
the bad part of it, right? That's the hard part. It takes fully a non fully formed brain and is like, hey,
Correct.
let
Yeah.
me fill in this gap with something that oh yeah, and subscribe and do this and it's like oh man,
Right.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
that's how you end up with all these culty,
yeah.
I don't, what do you,
Or
communities?
yes,
Yeah. And you're
yeah,
just kind of like,
yeah,
what the hell is going
yeah,
on? But it's all for a sense of belonging. That's
yep,
all what it all boils down to, a sense of
yep,
belonging. And
yep.
it's just like, wow. Wow. It's
Absolutely.
it's
That's
unfortunate. It's
that's why
really
the
unfortunate.
conversation, opening the conversation, lets somebody know that, or again, when we're talking about the manosphere and these boys, it lets them know they're being seen, they're
Right.
being heard. I'm listening to you. I see you. Right.
Right.
I may not agree, but I see you.
Right.
That's where you start, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Whew.
that's it. No, man. Bit of a heavy episode there, but I think that was something that was important to bring up for sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the whole episode, you can obviously find us on Spotify. Search Cruising with the Coaches. Search the Live All Good podcast and find the Cruising with the Coaches episodes. Or you can go to our YouTube home. That's YouTube right there at the bottom. Live All Good, Cruising with the Coaches, and it's tied into Live All Good TV. Or if Facebook is your flavor, we also got a Facebook page, episodes, clips. You can find all of that there. Um, and until next time, Lee and Julie signing off.